Hi there, my name is Theo Popov and I'm a Bulgarian-American composer with 2 decades of experience writing music for opera, theater, film, and video games. I'm also a certified sommelier by the Court of Masters of the Americas, and I have a Wine and Spirits Education Trust Level 4 diploma in wine. All of which means that I have spent an inordinate amount of time training my hearing, smell, and taste professionally, and through my company, Vine Opera, I have frequently partnered with various ensembles in different parts of the world to curate musical experiences that stimulate not just our ears, but our eyes, nostrils, and our taste buds. Today, I'm hoping to take you on a multi-sensory journey using excerpts of my own music to demonstrate some of the fascinating ways that our brains respond to various sensory stimuli. For that purpose, I would like to invite you to pop a bottle of bubbly open and pour yourself a glass, or if you don't drink, a soda would do just fine, or even a bag of potato chips. What's important is that you have something on your palate that has a crisp acidity and a sense of either pop or crunch. While you do that, here's a piece of music to warm up your oral palate. The piece you just heard is my sonic interpretation of the Mandelbrot set, which is a set of points in the two-dimensional complex plane representing a simple iterative mathematical equation. It's a famous fractal, a geometric shape that exhibits patterns of self-similarity at different levels of magnification. Something that isn't just mathematically fascinating, but as you can see, very pleasing on a subliminal level. Fractals appear in various forms all over the natural world, from snowflakes to tree branches, and we have evolved biologically to find them both fascinating and beautiful. I have frequently searched for ways to sonify these musical shapes in my composition work, hoping to provoke subconscious connections to what is aesthetically pleasing in nature. You may not rationally engage with what you're seeing or hearing, but your brain has evolved to release a little bit of dopamine when you experience something as satisfying as fractal symmetry. And that little chemical reward spills over to your perception of other stimuli by the other senses. What you're hearing, for instance, can often impact the way you smell or taste something at the same time. Here's an experiment for you. As you listen to 2 movements from my string quartet Geometric Conjectures, which is also based on fractal symmetries, I'd invite you to take a few sips from your glass or bite into a couple potato chips and to pay particular attention to how the bubbles or crunch feel on your palate. Do they feel like multiple small pops or a few large bangs? Do they tickle your mouth gently or do they burst violently? When they do, does it seem like they release sweetness, fruitiness, or do they just attack you with bitterness and tartness? You might be surprised by the vastly different palate experiences you will have with the first versus the second movement. How did the bubbles feel? Sharp, active, lively? Let's see if there's any difference when you listen to the second movement of the piece. Now with this one, the bubbles were a bit more muted, weren't they? This isn't just your imagination. There are decades of scientific study of how our senses modulate each other, coming from places like the Oxford Cross-Modal Research Laboratory, led by Dr. Charles Spence. He has written extensively on the subject and has inspired others to pursue all sorts of multi-sensory artistic ventures. Take, for instance, Master of Wine Susan Lin, whose experiment in pairing champagne and classical music rocked the wine world a few years ago. To my knowledge, few composers have taken up the creative possibilities offered by multi-sensory pairings, but I am optimistic that that will change within the next few years. So for our next experiment, let's focus on acidity. That is our perception of tartness or sourness. Basically, how much you salivate when you taste or smell or even think about something. For instance, picture a ripe lemon and you will notice that your mouth is already watering. Well, then it shouldn't surprise us that what we listen to also modulates how mouth-watering something is. And that is actually pretty easily quantifiable by just counting the number of seconds you're salivating. Let's explore that connection with two pieces of vocal music, both performed by the phenomenal soprano Chea Kang, but a fairly different stylistic character. The first one is an excerpt from my song cycle Goblin Market, based on the poem by Cristina Rossetti. Take a few sips while you listen and see how mouth-watering this music is.
Tenderly she could not bear to watch her sister's kangaroo, yet not to share. She night and morning caught the goblin's cry, "Come buy our orchard fruits, come buy." With crowns of furs, laughed every goblin when this my baby came towards hobbling, flying, running, leaping. Look at our apples, russet and dun, grapes for the asking, pears wet with masking, out in the sun, plums on the trees, pluck them and suck them, pomegranates figs. Folk, said Lizzie, give me much and many, held out her apron, tossed them her penny. Nay, 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 take a seat with us, honor and eat with us. They answered greeting, a feast but beginning. Sit down and feast with us, be welcome guest with us, cheer you and rest with us. Thank you, said Lizzie. Waits at home alone for me. If you will sell me any of your food, so much and many, give me back my silver penny. They began lashing their tails, they trod in hostelry, elbowed and jostled, clothed with their legs, which they held up by the roots, step upon them to defend, how their hands in sputter fast, our legs are most red. Like a beacon left alone. At last they have a people worn out by her resistance. They'll make her penny kick their foot along whichever road they talk, not leaving not or stone or shoot. Some writhing to the ground, some dived into the brook with ring and ripple, some scudding on the gale without a sound, some vanished in the distance.
Were you able to count how many seconds of salivation you were experiencing with this song? Now, let's see if that changes with a different piece of music. Next is an aria from the workshop of an opera that librettists Tonia Saro, Lydia Lim, and I are developing based on a work of dissident fiction smuggled out of North Korea. City of Spectres is an immersive, multimedia, and multisensory work where each scene is crafted to spike different emotions sonically, visually, and olfactorially. As you watch the video, sip again, and without overthinking it, just see if the refreshment in your hand has become more or less mouthwatering.
Look, all gone, all gone. Let's read a book. Your favorite. Where the pig could be found. Oh, bluebird lives upon a mountain peak. He was so full of joy that he is why we never hear what rabbits have to say.
Now, since our palettes are different and our beverages are even more so, we will probably disagree on exactly how many seconds of salivation we have experienced, but we should agree that the first piece was more mouthwatering than the second. The higher frequency range, the hectic tempo, the choppy percussive articulations should have all provoked our subconscious to release more salivation than the slower, mellower second piece. Of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what's possible when one considers the coordination between all senses. My hope is that you're at least a little bit more curious to engage with your taste, smell, and hearing as you create or experience art going forward, because it makes everything that much more rewarding. Thank you, Composers Now, for the opportunity to share my excitement about multisensory work, and thank you to all of you watching for indulging in this exploration together. Hope this is just the beginning of your cross-modal artistic journey. I leave you with an orchestra piece which should create all sorts of interesting gustatory and olfactory connections with what you're currently tasting.